Let's now talk to Police Brigadier General Ildebrandi Osana. He's the spokesman of the Philippine National Police, or PNP, and he joins us now on the line. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Sir Christian, and good morning to all your televiewers. Good morning.
Okay, I understand the police officer who was involved in the killing of his neighbors had faced 6 cases at the PNP, but they were either dismissed or dropped. But in this case, following this incident, is it now certain that he would be out of the police force?
That's right, sir. And KPNP, no less, has already instructed the ES to facilitate the filing of administrative action so that eventually, once the resolution is brought to his attention, he will eventually approve the dismissal of this police officer.
Okay. Now, the other question is, why did it have to go this far before this particular erring police officer needed to be taken off the list of police officers in the Philippines? Bakit tumagal ng ganito bago siya natanggal o matanggal?
We'll still validate what actually happened, sir, during the past cases that he had faced. We assume that processes has actually been complied with. Of course, insofar as administrative case is concerned, this is only substantial evidence. If records will indeed show that he committed the offense, then we probably might ask investigation as to what actually has happened, why these were all dismissed, except the 2 where he was actually suspended, sir.
Oh, pero are you going to review the process that was followed in those 6 cases? Perhaps
Yes,
to look into possible loopholes in the system that allowed people like him to stay with the police force.
Yes, sir, we'll do that, sir.
And so far, what have you seen? Basically, when you check his records, bakit ganon?
Well, so far, the records will show that indeed he had all these cases. But insofar as reviewing what these cases are and what is the nature of the offense and how did this come about insofar as this person is concerned, then all this will be integrated into the review that will be done by the PNP itself.
Okay, because this is a common question by people when people saw that brutal killing of his neighbors, and it turned out he had cases before, pero yun nga, either dropped or there was no substantial evidence. And the concern is that there might be other police officers like him still lurking within the police force. And what is the leadership doing about it as far as fixing the system to be able to weed them out?
Well, if you look at the data, we had actually dismissed, or rather, dismissed 4,800 police officers out of the total of 16,800 police personnel who faced various administrative sanctions. And this sort of data actually would provide our people how the PNP responds to cases of infractions committed by our police officers. And under no circumstances are we going to allow them to stay longer in the Philippine National Police, because there are a lot of applicants, after all, who are interested to get into the PNP. But insofar as these erring police officers, definitely they already have faced sanctions. Of course, they vary, but those dismissed police officers have already been addressed by the PNP itself.
Okay. Now, a lot of people are not buying the statement coming from the DILG and even coming from President Rodrigo Duterte that the killing involving this policeman was an isolated case. And even Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo said that the suspect is a member of the PNP is symptomatic of an incipient cancer that lies in the body of the police force that must be excised instantly. How do you respond to that?
Well, we still maintain our position that this is indeed an isolated case. We do not want to create an idea that this is reflective of the entire PNP as an institution of public service. We have more than 221,000 police officers, and the offenses that are probably being committed by police officers did not even reflect no more than 10%, in fact. So I should say this kind of cases never happened in the past. It may have happened a few times, but insofar as the Nuesca case, it's good enough that it was covered by a video, and of course justice will definitely be served. But at the end of it all, we will not even consider this as something that will be condoned by the PNP and reflective of the PNP itself.
Okay, you mentioned the video that the killing was the brutal killing was caught on video. The other question is, without the video, if there had there been no video that caught that incident, what would have happened? That was also common concern here, in the context of the other possible abuses committed by police officers. For example, in so-called anti-drug operations. Kasi nga dito sinuwerte merong video. Paano kung wala?
Well, if you look at the administrative disciplinary machinery over the Philippine National Police, we have 12 bodies that are investigating cases involving erring police officers. One of them, of course, in the Internal Affairs Service, and you have the People's Law Enforcement Board. You even have the CHR. And all our, perhaps the witnesses may come to these offices to file complaints, because we really are open to any complaint filed by anyone who may have been aggrieved by erring police officers. And, well, of course, the video is a piece of evidence that is so strong for us to pinpoint the responsibility of anyone who may have committed our disciplinary rules. But, of course, we are still seeking the possibility of having witnesses to come to our office. We are open to accommodating them, and we're willing to file complaints against our police officers who violated the rules and regulations in our organization.
Okay, but PNP Chief Debod Sinas himself is not encouraging people to take footage of such altercations or incidents. I think sabi niya, baka mabalingan ka. I mean, is this should this be the advice coming from the PNP, given the importance of a video footage in such incidents?
Well, that's right, sir, because it might also border on the danger for the one that is covering the video. He probably may be cautioning anyone who would take that video in front, probably, of somebody who is armed, not necessarily a police officer, because as he was saying, better that any video that is uploaded, perhaps, should better be brought to the attention of the authorities. But for the taking of video, it is something that really borders on danger. We wouldn't want that person to be feeling as such and probably experiencing a tragic incident instead.
Okay, did you see the video? Napanood niyo po ba?
That's right, sir.
What was your reaction right after watching it?
There was no reason for him to even do that at all. There was no sufficient provocation, and the civilians actually, mother and son, did not even provoke him right away. There was sufficient time for him to think about the implication of what he would be doing. Although we didn't actually see the entire video, apparently this was provoked by a previous incident where the neighbor actually was committing some infractions there. But supposedly, as a police officer, he would just have the wisdom to act accordingly based on the existing laws. He may have probably referred the case to a barangay, but he didn't do that. Instead, he committed a grievous wrong, and well, of course, the rest is history.
And what do you think is with the PNP culture or system that somehow gives rise to people like him? I mean, this is a police officer. He was supposed to serve and protect. But based on that video, even if that was not complete, you could see that somehow he was projecting this immense power and authority over an incident that is quite domestic between him and his neighbor. And if you also look at the actuations of the daughter, the minor, it seemed like they were somehow throwing their weight around against a neighbor who was actually defenseless at that time. I mean, what's with the system, or is it even fair to somehow pin the blame on the system or processes or culture within the PNP?
There's no such thing as a culture that is bordering on that kind where Nuesca sort of committed such a grievous wrong. We never condoned it at all. the PNP leadership is firm on its stand to discipline erring police officers, and we also have the internal cleansing. Of course, what Nuesca did is really abominable, and we do not want that this kind will affect all the other police officers, 221,000 of them. And there are many more good deeds that have already been committed by our police officers, and we're not even showing this off. I guess at all this has not affected our police officers. They just have to perform their duties. The culture there is for us to really serve and protect our people, and that has been our oath of office. And we do not want this kind of offense committed by our police officer. Will discourage all the others, the many police officers who have already been doing a lot best with regard to serving our people.
Yeah, of course, we know that there's a lot of good men and women within the police force, but you cannot avoid people or prevent people from somehow questioning the credibility of the police force, the institution itself, because of what happened, because of what policemen like Nuesca are doing. So in this case, do you think the Philippine National Police as an institution would remain credible because of incidents like this?
Yes, sir. We have vivid stories of heroic acts committed by our police officers. We also have our share of police officers who lay down their lives so that others would live. We have continuously providing services even if they are not asked for. I guess all these countless efforts done by our police officers will not dampen. Rather, the act committed by our police of this NESCA will not dampen the best intentions of our police officers for having done all the things in service of our people. And while we cannot practically perhaps address the individual differences of our police officers, as a whole, the PNP really is bent on serving our people without asking for anything in return, without fear or favor, as you call it. And I guess we have done our level best to serve our people more than what other organizations have done.
Okay, but with apologies, General, but given incidents like this, statements like those you have just made might be seen as motherhood statements in the context of incidents like this involving a police officer such as Jonel Nuesca. Now, I'd like to talk about the training itself and what other concrete steps will the PNP take moving forward to make sure that this incidents like this would indeed be isolated. Because can you imagine someone who was authorized to carry firearms, a person in authority, finding it quite easy to pull the trigger against helpless and hapless neighbors? I mean, parang walang takot, di ba? Hindi ba niya naisip na mahuhuli siya? May balik sa kanya yan?
Well, if we just have to look at the historical part of why it happened, then probably we can say that maybe he could have had that reason why he did that. But at the end of the day, this is wrong. This is a crime. And a crime is a crime. He has to bear the consequences. He really has to realize that indeed such a grievous wrong would make him rot in jail, so to speak. Of course, he will be dismissed eventually in the service. We do not really condone this kind of act. We have had this number of cases involving erring police officers, involving illegal drugs, committing murders, kidnapping and all, and they are all dismissed from the service. Again, if they stayed longer in the service, then the PNP itself may be at wrong. But in this case, we will not wait any minute longer for them to stay in the service because they do not deserve to be a police officer at all.
Okay, there's one suggestion to institute a top-to-bottom values formation within the Philippine National Police. Do you think this could work? Is this even needed? Kailangan pa ba ito at this time?
We have many programs, in fact. We have internal cleansing program, we have spiritual program and all that. We do not want to create an impression that the PNP will have to change just because of Sergeant Nuesca. Again, this is something that is isolated. We always have these efforts to really improve our level best, and we do not want that all of a sudden, when Sergeant Nuesca's case will happen, we will have to change the PNP as an institution. And what if another Nuesca will happen? Are we going to change again the entire institution? That may be unfair to the many police officers who really are doing their level best to serve our people more than, as I was saying, more than any other government workers around.
Actually, the demand is for the Philippine National Police as an institution to change for the better. Because you know that no institution is perfect. And in this case, it was a matter of life and death, right?
That's right. But he actually had served it right. He is now facing criminal sanction, 2 murder cases. And eventually he'll be dismissed from the service without benefits at all. So I guess that would be enough. This is considered a simple murder case. And we do not want to consider the PNP as focusing itself on what Nuesca did.
Okay, so you said that the Philippine National Police has long been implementing or has long instituted the system of values formation. We know that for a fact. Meron ganung program talaga sa PNP. Matagal na. But for instance, how do you somehow implement this this consistency? How do you try to further professionalize the police force, the institution itself, when the president himself had been issuing statements to the effect that it should be easy to pull the trigger for police officers whenever they're in certain operations? I mean, how do you reconcile that? You have the supposed effort to cleanse your ranks, to professionalize the Philippine National Police, but you have the president, your president, issuing such statements.
The president actually has told us that in order for us to be able to effectively enforce the law, we must do what is right. As simple as that. You do what is right, then you will have the law with you. If you do what is wrong, then certainly you will be facing consequences. That's all about it. And the PNP has gone through all these stages where administrations change, and we still remain as a public service institution. We go beyond administration. But insofar as the PNP that has been there for more than 100 years since the start of the police service organization, we have had enough of the heroic acts. I guess what Nuesca did is something that will not even trigger any change at all in the PNP, because we have had many changes that have already been initiated. This particular case actually will not make the PNP as if we are totally wrong, because as I was saying, this is an isolated case. The murder criminal action has already been filed, and the dismissal will already be forthcoming, and the PNP will have to move on from there.
The problem is this incident involving the police master sergeant Jonel Nuesca cannot be tackled or discussed in isolation or away from the prevailing context of the president's drug war, the chief implementers of which is the Philippine National Police. That is the concern here. And that under President Rodrigo Duterte, the concern is that police officers, despite this pronouncements of further professionalization of the ranks, has somehow become more trigger happy because of the president's instructions himself. I mean, how do you fix that? Because the president won't be in Malacanang forever, but you as an institution would be there.
That's right, sir. Well, internally, I guess if we are to look at what happened to Nuesca, we just have to probably think about how anger management is put into place. Second, how firearms will be properly used, when and when not to, pull the trigger. The third, insofar as the leadership perspective is concerned, we do have our dynamics in the organization, and we don't have to listen to what all our leaders are saying just for us to become good police officers. We have been trained well, and of course, with being a dynamic police organization, we have to deal with the best and the worst of people around us. And we still have to consider ourselves as part of a bigger society. And this society, of course, is faced with a lot of problems that, in fact, the PNP will also have to address. So,
Okay, so
I guess we do not want to create an impression that WESCA is the Philippine National Police itself.
yeah, of course, but there has to be an earnest effort to make sure that that won't be the case. For example, you said that the Philippine National Police or the police officers are trained well. You don't have to listen to everything that the leaders or officials have been telling you. For instance, in this case, the latest pronouncement coming from the president, wala akong pakialam dyan sa human rights. Now, I'm telling the law enforcement, the uniformed personnel, do your duty, do it in accordance with law, pero be alert and be wise. And then the last part, alam mo, kaunting pagkakamali lang, barilin mo na. I mean, you see contradiction within the same statement. So which part of that statement do you think police officers are supposed to listen to? And which part of that statement that you are supposed to ignore?
We have the PNP Human Rights Affairs Office. Down the line, we have human rights officers. And all our police officers are trained on human rights. I guess what the president may have already been telling us is something that really borders on that discernment of what needs to be done rightfully. The president has not really been telling us to do what is wrong. He may have been saying something, but whenever he speaks before the police officers, from the top leadership down to the lowest ranking, he would always tell us what is right. So I guess this is something that maybe the public didn't even know. Insofar as the president is concerned, he has been really bent on changing for the better the Philippine National Police. Of course, the PNP is not a perfect institution. Nothing, of course, would say that the PNP is perfectly doing what that has been doing. But we really will have to simply perform our duties based on our mandate.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean, of course, that we will be doing it for the entire life that we are in the service to be perfect at all.
Okay.
We do commit some wrongful acts, but these are being addressed by the PNP itself.
Okay, as a final point, General Osana, example, in 2017, the president said, pag walang baril, bigyan mo ng baril. I mean, isn't that a very clear instruction to the police officers? And number two, we would like to believe that the Philippine National Police has indeed been instituting reforms, but they may not be enough. For instance, how do you show that you are indeed walking the talk? In particular, in terms of, in the case of police officers, who might have been abusing their authority in the conduct of the drug war, how many of them, aside from the police officers who were convicted in the Kian de los Santos case, how many others have indeed been convicted? How many cases have been filed in court? To show that indeed the Philippine National Police has been walking the talk in the centerpiece project of the president.
Insofar as anti-legal drugs is concerned, at no time in history have the police officers been able to address this squarely. Illegal drugs is not something that we can consider a picnic. We have debt from our ranks. And these debts actually have made us stronger to fight those syndicates involved in illegal drugs. The president, in fact, has been telling us to really fight these menace in our society that has pestering our youth for the longest time. And I guess as far as the cases that may have been filed against police officers, we're open to all these. But whatever it is that the police officers have successfully done with regard to illegal drugs, we consider this as bordering on the regularity of their performance. Whatever it is that they do, it is in the context of performing their duties in accordance with the rule of law. However, if there are complainants, we are open to accommodating them. We do not want to always create suspicion that our police officers are doing wrong every time they perform their duties with regard to anti-illegal drugs. Ano pong mangyayari sa aming police kapag lahat na lang na ginawa nila mali? isipin namin kailangan sampan sila ng kaso. Siguro tingnan na rin po natin sa perspective ng law enforcement. We really are offering our life with regard to anti-legal drugs. Marami na pong namatay ng mga polis namin. And we hope na makita po ng mga mamamayan natin na sa kamatayang ito, mas nagiging matapang po kami para bigyan pansin ang isang napakalaking krimen, napakalaking enemy in our society, that is illegal drugs.
Okay, Police Brigadier General Ildebrandi Osana, thank you for joining us this morning, sir.
Salamat po, sir. God bless.